Ooh. Well, I went down, down to the garden of nuts. Well, I went down, down to the garden of nuts.
Oh, yeah. I went down to the garden of nuts. I love that verse. And I belong in that garden of nuts. And any of us who do love Yeshua and cannot wait to escape all the things that are coming upon this earth, we belong in that garden too, in the garden of nuts. Because this world thinks we're nuts. So why not? That's gonna be some beautiful garden, that garden of the Song of Shlomo, Solomon, chapter 6, verse 11. But let me tell you something, folks. Don't get me wrong. This world got a lot of nut gardens of its own. You know, like that one that was in front of Reagan's plane the other night. Was that pathetic or what? Well, it wasn't what. Now, I'm not going to waste much time talking about them guys standing up there babbling off about how they're going to make everything good for their grandchildren. But I do have a message for one of those gentlemen. The doctor. Not the eye doctor, the brain doctor. Hey, Ben, wake up. I think you're going to have to take your own brain out and do some operating. You say that you read the scriptures, and I got to give it to you. You're the only one out there quoting from the scriptures. But you've got to reacquaint yourself with Yeshua's own words in the Olivet Discourse, Matthew 24. Read Genesis chapter 6. And you're standing up there too. How you gonna make America great again? How you gonna bring the jobs back? You're gonna get rid of the unions? You're gonna make the military great again. You're gonna get rid of the drag queens and the imams? I don't think so. Wake up, Ben. Come on now, doctor. Look at the platform that our Elohim has given you. He has given you an opportunity to proclaim to everyone what is coming upon this earth. If you do not take this opportunity to stand up for Elohim and tell of his prophecies that are coming to pass right now, you're going to be held accountable for that. To whom much is given, much will be required. And you have the world listening to you right now. Please, doctor, speak up for Yeshua. Remember, if you do not proclaim him in public before men, what is the consequences of that? He will not proclaim you unto the Father. Come on, Ben. Ben, if you don't start letting the folks out there know what's coming, I'm telling you, read Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13, all of Yeshua's end time dissertations. These are the things you should be telling the folks, but instead you can't, can you? Yeah. How can you run for president and be asking for Yeshua to return? Wouldn't be able to be president, would you? Because Yeshua would be the king. So come on now. Make clear what you really believe. Doctor, do you believe in the rapture? Do you believe that Yeshua is coming back very soon? I mean, really soon. Please make clear what you believe. Because right now, kind of seems like you're trying to serve two masters. Read your scriptures, pronounce them to the world, proclaim Yeshua to men, proclaim Yeshua to all the world. You have such an opportunity. You must take it. I'm praying for you, doctor. All right. What is this? What is this? Lady Schmel here coming to you from FEMA region number 3. Gotta get right on with it. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna thank a dear sister in Yeshua. She sent me some more information that is the crux of this video. You'll know who you are when I snap my fingers. Ho ho, my dear friend, you know who you are now, don't you? Folks, take a look at that.
I will leave a link to the video where these pictures figure prominently. You've got to see it. My dear sister in Yeshua, the one that I'm speaking of, sent me those images, which led me to find the most remarkable roaring lion in a coronal mass ejection on the sun. I will leave a link to that video. You've got to see it if you have not already. Well, she strikes again and sends me this. And fear not, my dear sister, I have blocked out all email addresses and names, but I do want you to look at the date there, August the 27th, when this email was sent unto me by the dear sister. Take a look. Now, as you can see, this here is a screen capture of a coronal hole upon the sun, and without doubt, the dear sister wanted for me to connect the dots here between it and the image of the in-flight bird of the air getting ready to make noonday snack. Look at that. Uncanny, isn't it? There's the head, you got the ring there, you got the tail. Man, oh man. From there, the dear sister wanted that I should go to the wiki, where we find this. The flag of Papua New Guinea, a location where many quakes occur. However, the connection that the dear sister was pointing out had to do not with quakes, but with weather. For on August the 19th, the exact day that the coronal hole appeared on the sun, this article appeared. The exact day. Frost and drought wipes out subsistence crops in Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Highlands. It's the El Nino, my friends. Our dear sister was given a sign in the sun, without a doubt. Now here is where the story takes a turn. Take a look back at the pictures again, the sun and the bird. Now I'm going to be completely honest here. On 8/27/2015, August 27, 2015, when I first opened this email, my eyes went straight smack bap right to that coronal hole. The instant I saw it, I thought only of one thing and had not been able to erase the image and or the thought from my consciousness since. I knew exactly what it was I saw when I saw it. There was no doubt in my mind. It was as if the Father literally shoved the answer straight through my hat and into my thick skull. And that answer could not have been further from what the dear sister saw when, she connected the bird with the coronal hole with the El Nino in the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea. Do you see what the Father does? I'm telling you, when I first got the email, I couldn't take my eyes off the coronal hole. I didn't even look at the bird. It's like Elohim wanted us to see two different things, completely different things. And so, he actually put blinders on me until I understood what it was he wanted me to see. And what I saw when I looked at the coronal hole, I sent back to the dear sister in the reply email. Here's the email. Read it along with me. Hey, thanks for this. Over the past several weeks, nothing has really caught my eye on the sun, except the picture you sent. Wow, I saw that in the sun the morning it was posted. To me, it looks like Alaska. I've been thinking about what it could mean. Perhaps a quake on the way. I've been praying about it. Alaska. That is exactly what I thought that coronal hole looked like. Now, I don't know if it's just me. You may not be able to get Alaska out of that one bit, but the Father wouldn't let me forget it. Now, as you could read in that email, I had no idea what it meant at that time. So I didn't think I could even mention it in the video because I had nothing else to go on. And then 3 days later, 3 days, there we go with the 3 days. 3 days on the third day. 3 days later, on August 30th, this Mount McKinley will again be called Denali. Now the plot thickens. Right away I go to the wiki, 'cause smack dab the Father brings to mind the assassination of the 25th President of the United States, William McKinley, whose name has been removed from the mountain by Barack Hussein Obama. Check this out. Very interesting. President McKinley is shot on September 6th of 1901 by one Leon Cholgas. a Polish anarchist. I can talk about the Polish, I'm 50% it, so I can bring this up. A Polish anarchist kind of brings someone else to mind, doesn't it? Yeah, her, Barbara Mikulski. Is it not ironic that she's the one that sealed the approval of the Iranian nuke deal on September 7th? Coincidence? Yeah, right. Now, one of the reasons that I wasn't able to get my mind into what Elohim was trying to say by thrusting Alaska under my hat was because of the stock market going nuts. Now, like I said, 3 days after I see the Alaskan coronal hole in the email, Barry Soetoro goes to Alaska and takes McKinley's name off the mountain. I mean, come on. With all the earthly upheaval going on, and he's worried about renaming a mountain. So, hey, there has got to be some underlying prophetic implications around all this. So 3 days after I see the coronal hole of Alaska in the email, Barry Soetoro goes to Alaska. 3 days before I get the email, we get this. Black Monday, August 24th. The economy is gone haywire. Now, what is the reason that McKinley's assassin, Leon Czolgosz, decides to turn to anarchy and shoot McKinley? What brings it on? What else? A stock market crash called the Panic of 1893, a severe economic crisis, one that is the most severe in all of U.S. history up to that time. And one of the main causes, one of the major root causes of this issue was created by an investment firm from where? Argentina, which just happens to be the birthplace of Jorge Bergoglio, the false prophet. Now let me mention as a side note that my sister pointed something out to me. Isn't it interesting that in Jorge's last name you got Gog? Just a thought. Now let's go back to the 25th president for just a moment. President McKinley doesn't die right away from the gunshot wound. He actually begins to recover on September 11th. This, of course, is 1901, you know. But he takes a turn for the worse on September 13th, which this year was Elul 29, the end of the Shemitah. And he dies on September the 14th. This year's Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, or Rosh Hashanah. Now, do you think it's just coincidence that this freak president, this Barry Soetoro, just ups and goes to Alaska and removes the name of a president who was assassinated by an anarchist almost at the exact anniversary of the president's murder? Removes the assassinated president's name from his memorial. Come on now. And during an economic crash at that. It is as if this sick narcissist Obama, an anarchist himself, is spitting on the memory of an assassinated president and honoring his murderer, an anarchist. And get a load of who he took with him. The withered up stump Secretary of State chap in the wind. Aye, gewalt. And we're paying for this trip. Aye, this is prophetic, my friends. It is an amazingly vivid foreshadow of the anarchy that is about to envelop this earth. And check this out. Talk about anarchy. The very day, that's right, the very day that Barack Hussein Obama renames that mountain, this silly yutz puts up a YouTube video saying it's open season on cops and crackers. You know, I gotta stop for a moment and say this. I never understood why people thought being called a cracker was so insulting. Call me a cracker anytime you want. Hey, putting on the Ritz. Dankeschön, Fritzy. But I digress. Or maybe I don't. This is Anarchy Eve, people. Here's a guy announcing to the world that it ain't safe to be white no more. If that ain't helter-skelter, I don't know what is. If you haven't done so yet, you gotta go back and watch my Summer of Charlie videos. I linked the playlist down below. And guess who? Almost exactly a year ago was asked this question by Mr. Chris Wallace on the Fox News. Take a look.
You said recently that you thought that there might not actually be elections in 2016 because of widespread anarchy. Do you really believe that?
Well, I hope that that's not going to be the case, but certainly there is the potential, because you have to recognize that we have a rapidly increasing national debt, a very unstable financial foundation, and you have all of these things going on like the ISIS crisis that could very rapidly change things that are going on in our nation.
Now I ask you, has anyone asked him that question since? Are you kidding? It seems he's even forgot he said it. What does that tell you where his brain's at? He's running in an election that a year ago he said might not even happen. Did he find something out to change his mind? And do you know what date that interview was? September 28, 2014. 1 year before the fourth blood moon. My dear friends, please don't get me wrong. I think Dr. Ben Carson is a wonderful man. And I've said in a previous video that if there were to be an election, which there will not be, he would be the man that I would vote for. Absolutely. And I do believe that he loves Elohim with all his heart. As I said in the beginning of this video, he's the only one out there that will quote a scripture. I just wish he'd talk just a little about the signs of the times. Because you know what? Let me tell you what. The spirit of anarchy is in the air today, just as it was 114 years ago when Leon Czolgosz, the anarchist, murdered the 25th president of the United States. Friends, all the way up to the time of his death, his murder, President William McKinley was an excellent president. His death, his murder, was more tragic than many over the years have ever realized, because his successor, his vice president, has been made into a hero when he was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a hero of the progressives, of the environmentalists. We'll get to him in a minute. You see, President McKinley was a believer, and a true one at that. He loved the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and did profess before men the glorious name of Yeshua. He professed Yeshua as his Adon and his Savior. Brothers and sisters, I believe that when we're on the other side, we'll learn that even his assassination could have been planned, just like many other evil plots throughout history. Now, I understand that Elohim is always in control, but evil men plot. And I believe that this could have been what was behind the death of a man who would have gone down as a great, great president. Perhaps he was murdered because he was known to love Elohim. But either way, I truly believe that the powers that were wanted William McKinley dead. I think the progressives wanted him dead. Take a look at what it says here about the Panic of 1893. Look at that word right up there. Could have all been in the works to get rid of him and get his liberal vice president in office. They could have caused that market to crash in 1893. Did you know that it was 8 years later? 8 years later after the crash that McKinley was murdered. I wonder if 1893 was a Shemitah year. That is definitely worth looking into. Perhaps the crash, the market crash, the greatest crash up to that time in United States history. Perhaps the crash of 1893 may have more to do with McKinley's death than we have ever been told. And here we are right now today in the midst of economic chaos as anarchy is in the wind. Progressives, the wolves. You see, Mr. McKinley's vice president was the father of the modern day progressives. the wolves we're dealing with today. It was this man right here, this teddy bear. McKinley did not want him to be his running mate when McKinley ran for re-election, but the party made it so. The party made it happen. And McKinley was a decent man and did not fight it. But if it were up to him, he would not have picked TR of his own self. This Roosevelt, this wolf, he was just as dangerous as Wilson. And this evil villain after him, his distant cousin Franklin. Don't get me started on... And do you think it's a coincidence that when TR started his Progressive Party, he decided to use the symbol of the moose, which just happens to be the official state land mammal of Alaska? Friends, be careful when you read about this Roosevelt here. He has attained hero status in the world because he was of it. You see, President McKinley was not of the world. That's why they took his name off the mountain and put Roosevelt's face up on one. See you soon, Mr. President. Well, it was the 14th of September, right smack dab in the midst of Yom Teruah, and I still had yet to put anything together about Alaska with regards to a video. I did not start editing this video until just a few days ago, and I saw the first glimpse of the coronal hole that looked like Alaska on August the 27th. Well, to be completely honest with you, I saw the coronal hole on the 19th of August when Ben first showed it on his channel. But it didn't sink in to really what was happening until I saw the email that was sent to me by the dear sister on the 27th of August. So let me tell you what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is it didn't hit me between the eyes to start making this video until around the 14th into the 15th, Yom Teruah of all days. The timing of Elohim is perfect. Never too soon, never too late, never too early. Man, oh man, never question. Just seek the counsel of Elohim and he'll guide you in all of your ways. Ow! Right on, Fritzy. And so, on the morning of September the 14th, 2015, Yom Teruah, which also happens to be the 114th anniversary of the death of President William McKinley, who just had his name taken off of the largest mountain in North America that just happens to be in the state of Alaska, I go on to Ben's Suspicious Observer channel, and I see this. Wait, hold it. No, don't go there yet. First, let me show you the coronal hole that appeared on August the 19th, the one that I first saw, the one that when I saw it in the email, smack-dabbed me and said unto me, that's Alaska. Here is the one I saw first. Okay, there you go. That's the first one I saw. When I saw it on the 19th, didn't think much of it. But when the dear sister showed it to me into that email, smack-dab, that was it. I said, that's Alaska. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Looks like Alaska to me. And now here is the coronal hole that I saw during the Feast of Trumpets. You ready for this? If a certain part could have fallen off of me at that moment, it would have. Look at that. Now let's put the smaller one near it and look at them together. Oh my goodness, look at that. When I saw that, the first thing that came to my mind was, well, Elohim was trying to get your attention with that little one there. Now he's smacking you in the head with a 2x4. It's time to make your video. Look at that. It's like the little one ate some steroids and became Jose Canseco. All right, Elohim. You're smack vapping me in the head with this one. You show me the little tiny coronal hole, and then all of a sudden, come on now. It seems to me you want me to make a video that has to do with Alaska, and so here it is. After seeing that coronal hole, my friends, I know that right about now, Alaska is on Elohim's agenda. So I get everything together immediately and I begin editing everything you've seen up to this point. So it's September 16th now and I'm looking around for stuff. And schmack the Father, in his still small voice, whispers unto me, well, I should say into my spirit. And I kid you not, folks, it's not audible, but you hear it as clear as a bell. And what I heard was, take a look at the coin. The coin? Oh, yeah. Every state's got a special quarter. So I look up Alaska's quarter. Here it is. Take a gander. Another schmack-vap. And I think, oh, Gewalt, how in the world could you miss it, Laban? Miss what, you may ask? Well, what's that animal in there? It's a bear. Of course it's a bear. Are there any other countries associated with a bear? Let's see. Russia. China. And in Daniel chapter 2, remember Nebi's dream of the big old statue. Remember the chest and the arms of silver? Well, they was the Medes and the Persians. And today we call them Iran. Friends, the world has just signed a major pact with the Persians, the Iranians. And look here. Chinese naval ships spotted off of where? Alaska. And all while Obama is there visiting the state. There's respect for you. And check this out. I remember seeing headlines like this all of last year, and almost always off the coast of Alaska. So look at here, my friends. No Goldilocks, but there's certainly 3 bears. And to top it all off, so I snap into prayer, seeking the counsel of the Almighty. Help me, Father, to present this the way you want it to be. And as always, he eases my mind and I start getting it together, collecting headlines and such. And as I do, and as I am, I notice that an excellent scientist, a true watchman on the wall, has posted a video that I had not yet seen. This one here, from Nikola Tesla's Ghost. I will leave the link. It is a must-watch. Now, as I am wont to do, I glance at the comments and smack-vap. Oh, the smack-vapping. Elohim ain't finished yet. Folks, I thought some more parts were going to fall off. Read this with me. Mr. MB333 predicted the megaquake just hours earlier. The megaquake, of course, was that Chilean one that happened at 8.3. Continuing, he said September 23rd, 2015 has almost identical alignment, I suppose he means planetary alignment, as the second largest earthquake in recorded history about 50 years ago, 1964, in Anchorage, Alaska. Alaska. Now let me ask you, my friends, did any of you out there know that the second largest earthquake in the recorded history was in Alaska? 'Cause I didn't. Man, oh man. Do you see, my friends, the absolute perfection of Elohim's timing? No, Laban, I'm not done showing you those great and mighty things that you have not known. I'll just keep 'em coming. And so I cyberjaunt over to this channel, this Mr. MBB333, and check this out. Earthquake alert. Upcoming September 23 model resembles 50-year-old megaquake. And of course he's talking about that 1964 Alaska, second largest in recorded history. And to quote the dear sister who started all this, oh my, listen to just a bit. I'll leave a link below for those who want to watch the entire video. And you must Listen now to this.
And what I want to point out is the planets are moving into a position, and in fact some of them are already there, but it's a position that was in place 50 years ago. And on that day, Jupiter and Saturn opposed Uranus and Neptune, just like you see here. Then you had Mars, Venus, and Earth kind of on what I call the cusp. That's how I forecast earthquakes. Well, anyway, we've got Jupiter and Saturn over here, like I said, Neptune and Uranus over there. Mars, Venus, and Earth, Sirius outer flanking. This is how it was 50 years ago. 50 years ago, on March 28th of 1964, the second largest earthquake in recorded history occurred. Well, the planets are getting back into this same formation. Will there be another large earthquake? I don't know. It's eerily similar. Here it is right here. This is, I backed that up, and I took a screenshot of it. This is March 28th of 64 right here. You see Neptune, Sirius, Earth, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. Neptune, Sirius, Earth, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. And they're on the cusp. Jupiter and Neptune are opposing each other, just like they are here. The big picture, I'll show you right here. You've got Saturn and Jupiter opposing Neptune and Uranus. It is eerily similar, guys. And not only planetary-wise, but check this out. Definitely calling an earthquake alert. Be on alert, because it's coming. I firmly believe it, because not only does that line up, look at the phases of the moon. We'll start over here in March of 1964. The new moon was the 13th and 14th. When was our new moon? Right there, the 13th. 6:41 Universal Time. The full moon in March of 1964 was the 27th, 28th. Full moon of September 2015, 27th and 28th. When was the new moon? 13th. We just discussed that. Not only is it going to be a full moon this month, it's going to be a super moon, spiced up with a blood moon. I mean, it's pretty incredible. The planets were in this same alignment that's getting ready to occur 50 years ago when a 9.3 earthquake, a mega thrust earthquake, shook the whole Earth. Earth rang like a bell. Created a 220-foot wall of water known as a tsunami that did unbelievable damage near Anchorage, Alaska. And it permanently raised the ground by 30 feet in some places. Just absolutely unbelievable.
September 23. September 23. 23. We all know what that date is. Those of us who are watch folk, we know. Day of Atonement. The day that Jorge the false prophet meets at the gay house with insane Obama. The date that was calculated by the greatest scientist who ever lived. Calculated with no type of modern technology at all. Isaac Newton. Calculated. September 23rd, 2015 is the day for the final Jubilee, the 70th Jubilee. Yeah, we all know, but September 23 is. I just didn't figure that possibly Alaska could be playing a part. Time will tell. But 23, brought to mind something that I saw. Where else? Suspicious observers. I had to go back, 'cause Elohim wasn't done with me yet. So, let me show you what old 23 brought to mind.
Over at QuakeWatch.net, we see the watch index rising. Coronal hole will bounce back and the Earth weather factors are rising, so it's about time for the energy to hit the ground. We've got foreshock potential in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, where 23 moderately forceful rumbles have occurred in the last day. Hopefully we won't get a bigger one.
How many foreshocks did Ben say there were? Now, for reasons known only to himself, or at least at that moment, Elohim nudged again, and I'm starting to think about my favorite word after Maranatha. And that word is confirmation. So for whatever reason, I felt the need to go back to the channel of Mr. MBB333. You see, I didn't see his channel page. I just went straight to that video from the link in the comment on the Nikola Tesla's Ghost channel. So I go back to Mr. MBB333. Now, folks, I'm telling you straight. I don't know why I went back there. I just felt like Elohim wanted me to go back there. He wanted me to see something else. And smack vap, there it was. Now, before I show you, please note that before clicking on the link, I had never been to this channel before, this Mr. BB33's. I'd never been there, ever. Well, when I went back, I was in the middle of the page, so I moved up to the top. And there it was, 3:16. Now, friends, that's not only the chapter and verse of the most famous scripture in all of history. 3:16 just also happens to be my birthday. Friends, I want to close the way I began, with something sent to me by a dear sister. On September the 9th, 9/9, number 9, I received 2 emails from the dear sister. The first included, as per usual, an image from the sun. Look at that detail of that, my friends. I gasped at this. I have not seen something this vivid and obvious since the roaring lion and the pyramid with the all-seeing eye that I saw on October 17th of 2014. Approximately 1 hour later, I received the other email from the dear sister. It contained a link to a video, to a channel that many of you are very familiar with, the Groxt One. I will place a link below so that you can watch this video, the Groxt One, in its entirety for yourself. But I will leave you with the image from the video that prompted quite a bit more than a simple gasp.